Okay guys, today we are going to talk about angles. Now there are four different kinds of angles that we are going to learn in 5th grade. The first angle that we are going to talk about is a straight angle. Now what you need to remember about a straight angle is that it looks like a straight line. So a straight angle is easy to remember, and I'm going to put this little symbol right here in the middle because that tells me that that's not just a straight line. That is two lines that are making an angle. And so that lets me know that that's a straight angle. Now, we talked about in class about how angles have different degrees of measurement and how we're not going to measure angles in 5th grade, but it's still important to know the different angles of measurement. And we know that a straight angle is always 180 degrees. That angle degree never change. So we remember that a straight angle looks like a straight line. It's 180 degrees, and it has that little symbol in the middle to let us know that it is an angle. So that is a straight angle. Now, the second kind of angle that we are going to learn is a right angle. Now, this is one of the easiest angles to identify. Besides the straight angle. Of course, the straight angle is the easiest angle to identify, but the right angle, in my opinion, is the next easiest angle to identify. The right angle is, about the degrees again, the right angle is exactly 90 degrees. Now, if the straight angle was 180 degrees and it was a straight line, then the 90 degrees would be half of that, which means that a 90-degree angle would look like a capital letter L. So it looks like a capital L, not a lowercase l, a capital L. Now, sometimes on an exam or in life, you may see things that make what you think is a right angle, and you may not be sure. Well, if you don't have anything to measure it with, the way that we prove that something's a right angle is if somebody puts this little square in the corner of your right angle. That's them telling you, hey, this is for sure a right angle. You don't have to guess, you don't have to wonder, it's for sure a right angle. Now, the other thing to remember about right angles is that they don't always have to look like the angle I just drew here. If I were to take this angle and I were to rotate it like that, that is still a right angle because if you tilt your head, it still looks like an L. This is still a right angle. So it doesn't matter which way the angle's facing, it's always going to be a right angle if it measures 90 degrees and if it looks like a capital L. I like to think of the right angle as the perfect angle. It's the easiest angle to identify because it makes a perfect L. Now, the third kind of angle that we are going to learn about is an acute angle. Now, an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So we know that it's going to be smaller than a right angle because a right angle is 90 degrees. And an acute angle is less than 90 degrees. Now there's a lot of ways that you can, there's 89 different acute angles. So the way I remember an acute angle is I think of my right angle. Okay, I have my right angle right here. Let me break them apart for you. I have my right angle right here. Now that's the perfect angle. An acute angle is less than 90 degrees. So an acute angle would look like that. Or that. Or, well, that's a little too much. Or that one. So an acute angle is smaller than 90 degrees. And I remember it by these two letters that are right here in acute. We talked about in class how I have to have these visual cues that remind me about things in math. And so I do a lot of underlining letters and looking for keywords and things like that. So when I see this A and this C, I think of almost closing. And that helps me remember what acute angle is. And I know I've also heard other people say that, oh, look, acute. It looks like a cute little angle. And so you can remember it as AC, almost closing, or as a cute little angle. And there's all kinds of ways that you can draw. And just like the right angle, if I were to take this angle and rotate it, it's still a right angle. I mean, it's still an acute angle. Still an acute angle, still an acute angle. It doesn't matter what direction the angle's facing. What matters is how the angle is opening up. Is it less than 90 degrees? Does it look smaller than that capital L? So that's an acute angle. The final angle that we are going to talk about is an obtuse angle. Now, if an acute angle is less than 90 degrees, an obtuse angle is more than 90 degrees. Now, remember that when we drew that right angle earlier, I drew the right angle, and I told you that the acute angle was less, so it had to be smaller than 90 degrees. So when I'm looking at an obtuse angle, I know that it's more. So that could be an obtuse angle because that's bigger than my L. That could be an obtuse angle, that's bigger than my L, and it's not quite down all the way to a straight angle. That could be an obtuse angle. So any of those can be obtuse angles because the angle is opening up. And remember in the acute, we underline the AC. In obtuse, I underline the O. And the AC in acute was almost closing. The O in obtuse, I remember it as opening. So when I see the word obtuse angle, I remember, oh, it's an opening angle. It has to open up from that L. Some of the other students in class also remember obese. It's a big fat angle. So you can remember it as either way, which helps you, obese angle or an opening angle, but that's the little key word that I remember with obtuse. So just to review the four angles, we have a straight angle, which looks like a straight line. It's 180 degrees. We have a right angle, which I like to call the perfect angle. It makes a capital L, and it is 90 degrees. We have an acute angle, an almost closing or a cute little angle that is less than 90 degrees, and it looks smaller than that L. And then we have an obtuse angle, an obese or an opening angle that looks bigger than the L and is more than 90 degrees.